Another technique of Simran that we use is Rom Rom Simran. Rom Rom Simran is a technique that is mentioned in Gurbani as Gurmukh Rom Rom Har Tyave, Nanak Gurmukh Sach Samave. That Gurmukhs meditate upon the Lord with every hair on their body, and they remember the Lord using Rom Rom Simran, and those Gurmukhs absorb into such the truth, the Divine One, the Lord Waheguru. But to do Rom Rom Simran, you first have to have that ability to go into Sun using Sasgra Simran and Sasa Simran. Once you have that ability to go into Sun using Sasa Simran, what you want to do is basically move on to the next step. But sometimes what will happen is you will be unsure as to whether I should start Rom Rom Simran or other techniques yet or not. The indication of starting Rom Rom Simran happens during Sasa Simran as the mind starts to say Waheguru Waheguru internally, being at a point which is not related to the air that we breathe. So regardless of how we are breathing, the mind starts to do Waheguru Waheguru internally by itself. And that is an indication that the mind wants to do Abhyas, Nam Simran, by being separated from the air. We use the air in Sasgra Simran and Sasa Simran, but in Rom Rom Simran we do not. Another indication that Rom Rom Simran is one technique that you should be using is that during Sasa Simran, if you are able to go into Sun, and after going into Sun, and that means going into Sun regularly, you start to hear Anhad Shabd. That's when you want to make sure that you do Rom Rom Simran. You do not want to focus in on Anhad Shabds, as if you do so directly and you have not gone through the proper channel of meditation, it can disrupt your sleep and it can cause a mental imbalance, and you do not want to do that. Meditation is important to do, Nam Simran is important to do, but it has to be step by step and safely. Once you have that indication from the mind that Rom Rom Simran is the next technique to do, or separate the mind from the air, what you do is simply you take one thumb of one hand and you place it on the pulse of the other wrist, and you listen to the beat of the pulse. As you listen to that beat, with the beat, just with your surti, regardless of how you're breathing, because you're not going to take your focus into your breathing pattern, you're going to focus in the pulse, and as the pulse beats, what you will do is Waheguru, Waheguru internally with your mind, without speaking. Or you can even do it in 4 steps, Waheguru, basically with your pulse. Once you've practiced that it becomes natural for you, and what will happen is that sometimes you'll feel your pulse. If you're holding a glass, as your fingertips touch that glass, you'll feel the pulse inside them as well. And then when you feel that, you'll automatically start doing the Gurmantra Abhyas internally. Once you have that practice, then you slowly want to just pause your breath for a second to be able to listen to your heartbeat. And then once you can, you focus on your heartbeat, you let your air breathing go as normal. And when you focus on your heartbeat, you start that same meditation internally of the Guru Mantra, whether it's Waheguru with each beat, or whether it's Waheguru with each beat of the heart. Once you do that, what will happen is that as the heart pumps, that blood circulation goes into your entire body, you'll be able to hear the Guru Mantra from any part of your body. All throughout Simran will happen. And this creates a circle of protection around our physical self, which protects our mind. Maharaj says, Gur ka sabd rakhware, chauki chogird hamare. That the Guru Shabd becomes our circle of protection around us for the mind. So once you have perfected Rom Rom Simran, you'll get to a point where Gurmukhs that are at that stage, they start to feel as if it's raining or a drizzling is happening on their body. Whether they're indoors, there's no clouds in the sky, and they feel that it's raining. Why? Because in this empty space, in Sun, there's always Brahma Varkha happening, which is the rain of the Lord, which is that rain, which is actually nectar, Amrit Ras, holy nectar. And Gurmukhs feel that upon their body when Rom Rom Simran is perfected. Maharaj says, Chim chim varse amrit tara, man pive sun sabd bichara. That varkha, that rain is happening all the time. When we do shabdi vichar, when we contemplate the words of our Guru, we get to learn about that chim chim amrit tara happening within this, that chim chim varkha happening within this sun, and we get to actually experience it in practical terms by doing meditation. So that's the perfection point of Rom Rom Simran. Another thing is, if you're doing Rom Rom Simran and you start to go into Sun, that's good as well. And once you have been doing it for a while, eventually you'll be able to then go to the next step, which is to listen to the Anahad Shabds, Anahad Bani inside, by which you will get even closer to the Lord.